Afternoon, everybody. My name is Bill Shallick. I'm the president and a partner with OST Global Solutions. Appreciate everybody joining this meeting where we're hopefully going to discuss a whole bunch new information about OASIS Plus and some relevant information from the initial phase and what OASIS Plus is going to look like in the next phase. I think I see somebody raising their hand already. That's a good point. I wanted to let everybody know that we have two of our senior professionals, David Slovin and Antti Altamirano, who will be fielding questions. You're welcome to ask questions throughout the presentation, and these will be addressed as we progress through this presentation. So, thank you. All right. So going to give you a little overview about OST, talk about OASIS Plus, the second phase, what the first phase looked like, discuss probably the most important part of being able to determine if you can successfully get on OASIS Plus, the scorecard, all of the documentation and what the submission looks like, some of the red flags and issues that occurred during the initial phase, and hopefully how we can work together and help you get on to OASIS Plus. So about OST, been in business for 20 years. I'd say that we have almost 120 active clients in our portfolio. We're proud that over 90% plus of those companies are small businesses, set aside, et cetera. We've won over 27 billion for our clients, and we are small business champions, and we'll kind of talk about a little bit more about that and how you may be able to join our teaming portal as we progress through this presentation. We are one of the few companies that actually specializes in business development education, pipeline services, and full capture through post-proposal delivery. We have a bid and proposal academy that is comprised of 18 courses. We offer customized corporate trainings, and we're the only company that the Department of Labor has certified for a full business development apprenticeship program. And as we get further into this, we'll talk about our current holiday sale when it comes to our educational offerings. Our GovCon Catalyst, which is a trademark pending pipeline service, offers monthly services that helps you build a pipeline, manage pipeline opportunities, your schedules, and get all the information that you need to get through at least gates 2 and 3 bid, no bid up to gates 4. And then again, the full capture and proposals suite. If you have a solicitation, an RFI, a sources saw it, something you're targeting, we have the expertise to provide you with an estimate of what the scope will entail, and hopefully offer you solutions that will help you win the solicitation or a solicitation. So I'm not going to assume that everybody here knows what OASIS Plus is. So in a nutshell, this is a GWAC, a government-wide multiple award contract with multiple federal agencies that are going to use this schedule to offer responses and solutions for service-based activities. There are a total of 6 pools: small business, hub zone, woman-owned, 8A, SDVOSB, service disabled, veteran-owned, and then unrestricted or full and open. There are a total of 13 domains, including 5 new domains. The original 8, management and advisory, technical and engineering, intelligence services, research and development, logistics, facilities, environmental, and enterprise solutions. The enterprise solutions is for large businesses only. The new domains are the business administration category, human capital, financial services, marketing and public relations, and social services. There is no cap on awards if you can successfully get on-ramped. We also are not 100% sure, but pretty confident that even if you bid for some of the original domains, you can bid again this time on the new domains or domains you did not bid prior. If you bid on a domain and you were not successful, you will not be eligible at this juncture to rebid that domain. Um, I think what's really important here too, and this is sort of a message we've been sharing with our clients and in other webinars, this administration has made some significant changes, made some significant promises that will result in doing business differently with the government. One in particular is that they are looking to maximize resources and support capabilities and have GSA, for example, run the large majority of GWACs and IDIQs, if not all of them. Executive Order 14240, which went live on March 20th of this year, directed all of the federal government to eliminate duplicate contracts and try to consolidate and use GWACs for resourcing. So OASIS Plus is a great suggestion or a great suggested resource to get on so that you can continue to support government contracting and grow your businesses as needed. All right. So we're going to go through the functional areas. So the information that's currently on the screen is a quick synopsis. There's a lot more information. At the conclusion of this meeting or before the day is out, we will provide everybody that has registered and that is attending today's webinar with a copy of this slide deck and the recording. At the end of this presentation, there are multiple slides that go into greater details about the functional areas and also some more information about scorecard assessment. But these are the functional area descriptions for management advisory, all the domains basically that we talked about prior. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. They're pretty clear. And in the event that you're not sure if this is a good fit for you, ultimately, you have a number of different options. I think using the scorecard or looking at the scorecard to confirm that you're going to be able to be in compliance and compelling and get the right points to proceed and successfully get an award to be on-ramped would be one of your best options initially. We are experts with this, as I will identify a little bit later. We supported well over 20 companies and 30 plus submissions, maybe 35 submissions during phase one. But cannot emphasize enough that understanding where you fit with these categories, with the domains, based on your set-aside statuses, or if you're going full and open, so anywhere in the pool, is critical to your success, maximizing your points. And there are a number of different ways to do this. So these are the remaining functional areas, including the 5 new domains that have just been added. Give everybody a little time to take a look at those. Again, I want to remind you that you're welcome to ask your questions as we progress through this presentation. And we do have 2 of our support professionals, senior professionals, David Slove and Andy Altamirano, that will be responding accordingly. Okay, so a little bit about phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 closed October 23. There were over 3,700 awards. Unfortunately, we weren't able to track down how many people submitted. Knowing the percentages that typically equate to an on-ramp, we have to assume it's more than double this number. But there's still a large number of decisions that haven't been made yet. And that's a result of everything from protests, the government furloughs, and then the shutdown. Unfortunately, this has changed the business model for doing business with the government and has affected OASIS Plus, including phase 2 being offered. What we're expecting is that there's still going to be a decent amount of decisions or awards made for the remaining people that have not received notifications. I think it's worth noting that if you did receive a negative result, it is possibly going to there will be an opportunity to revisit this based on the results of all the protests. So stay tuned. Phase 2, they were thinking it was going to happen this quarter. We think it's more likely going to happen in the first quarter and probably later, January through February. What we can tell you as being veterans of helping our clients get on-ramped with OASIS Plus, and this isn't a sales tactic, it's more strategic. You don't want to wait to the last minute. You really need to figure out if you can do this, how you're going to efficiently meet the minimum scoring requirements or maximize your points, including through teaming. We are big teaming champions. We regularly are looking to put companies in touch with each other to help them grow their businesses or increase their P-win when they team together. We don't do this haphazardly. We're very strategic. We want to make sure there's synergies and a cultural fit. A little further into this presentation, there will be a link to our teaming portal. If you have not had a chance to do so, strongly suggest going in there, entering the data. Takes 10 to 15 minutes. This information is safeguarded within OST and not shared without your permission. But doing this would allow us to field your requests for a potential partner, see if we can find somebody and make introductions, as well as look at our existing clientele who may be going after certain solicitations or government contracts and consider your capabilities, your past performance, your set aside status, and then contact you to see if you would be interested in being introduced and working with them, hopefully on a government contract. So the big highlights for the phase 2 are those 5 new domains. Again, very important, newcomers and incumbents, people that submitted prior, you're eligible to submit again, assuming that you did not submit and have a negative outcome for a domain or based on a pool. If it is a pool and you didn't bid on that domain, you still can do the other domains. And you really want to make sure that if you can qualify for a domain, that you take advantage for the other industry codes within that domain. So it's a one-stop, get in on one, you're eligible for all. Companies can submit both large and small within the same domain, but you just need to make sure that there is a direct correlation or it's compelling based on the industry codes that apply to each of the projects that are being affiliated with your submission. So the scorecard. If you have not had a chance to go onto the GSA website, sam.gov, and or talk with us about the scorecard, strongly suggest you do this. If you have any interest whatsoever, this is where it all begins. Unfortunately, the scorecard is not very intuitive. It is a bit involved, and we're going to go into a little more detail later about what the estimated level of effort is if OST was to help you complete the scorecard, especially multiple scorecards if you're doing multiple set-asides, pools, and domains. But if you are going to be a set-aside, small business, 8A, hub zone, WLSB, or the service disabled veteran small business, you're going to need a minimum of 36 of 50 points. It is okay, by the way, to have more points. That's a good thing. As a matter of fact, it's something we try to do for our clients when we're submitting. You should do the same. It will give you the opportunity in the event, something that you have verified from your perspective is eligible for points, but that doesn't occur, to use extra points to make sure you meet the minimum requirements. So unrestricted, you're looking at 42 out of 50, and then the enterprise solutions, which again is only for large business, is 45 points out of 50. You can submit for multiple domains. These are separate proposals that have to be uploaded in OASIS Symphony portal. For the large majority, if not almost all of our clients, when we delivered our OASIS Plus solutioning, we submitted for them or worked with them as they did the submissions in Symphony, including for multiple proposals. Probably one of the more critical things to consider as part of the scorecard process is that when you are using qualified projects, also known as QPs, in federal experience projects, FEPs, these acronyms are going to be seen throughout sam.gov, GovWin, BGov, and the GSA network. It is important you only submit this past performance one time per domain within the same pool. You cannot reuse it. Saying that, there are a lot of opportunities where you can reuse that past performance, including if the domain is not in the same pool. Okay. So when doing the scorecard, there are 7 major focuses, capability areas. It's going to be the experience based on your project, past performance, which includes JP6s and forms that need to be completed and signed off by your customer, regardless if that's a prime in the private sector or if it's a CO, COTAR, KO, etc. This is probably one of the more challenging parts of this process because, again, a lot of people within the government have been furloughed, taken those early retirements. Some lost their positions, unfortunately. Some offices were even closed. There are workarounds for this. The GSA has not made a formal announcement if they're going to make a change in this requirement, making sure those JP6s are executed. But we believe very big conversation because if somebody is not in the government or an office isn't available to validate the customer satisfaction or the JP6s, we shouldn't be punished. You shouldn't be punished. So hopefully they'll consider that. Otherwise, our best guess is that there will be an increase for more protests. The business systems and certifications piece, we'll go into a little bit more detail about that in a few slides, talk to you about the different ISOs, CMMCs, et cetera. Your corporate experience across NAICS and functional areas, very important. Want to make sure that your past performance, your projects, that the work that you're doing is associated with approved NAICS. And then obviously your socioeconomic status and the different risks and responsibility factors that tie to your company, your past performance, and the domain and or pool that you're submitting for. So what do we need? What do you need to have in place so that you can correctly and completely fill out a scorecard? And by the way, in case I kind of glossed over this, you will need to do the scorecard. This is a deliverable for every domain that you are submitting and or pool. So you're going to need all of your statements of work and any other award documents that you have that can confirm that you did this work. And it's way more nuanced than what we've identified here. There are certain requirements based on when the past performance occurred, when the contract was delivered, when the revenue was generated. The invoices and financial records, which will confirm those financial obligations and spends, the customer performance documents, CPARs, PPQs, any type of mods that occurred during the period of performance, your certificates, your approval letters, anything else that could benefit and or confirm the points that you're trying to identify to meet the minimum requirements. I think like with any solicitation, it's worth noting that there's always the option to make something compelling. Compliance is one thing. We have to meet those compliant requirements, but creativity and being compelling is really where you have a little bit more leeway, freedom to make a better case so that you can increase the odds of receiving an award, regardless if it's for an on-ramp, for a GWAC or for a solicitation has an individual award. And this is typically what OSTs, proposal managers, and writers specialize in. It's not just being able to do the writing and or make sure that the documents meet the minimum requirements. So compliance and delivery and submission. We mentioned earlier the scorecard. So this is the JJP1 document, has the matrix, very in-depth. I really didn't want to dilute what we're trying to accomplish today, which is getting people familiar and or up to date with what OASIS Plus entails by pulling up a scorecard and going through that nuanced process, a lot of data there. we are, again, available to talk with you. As a matter of fact, I would say over the last 2 weeks alone, I've probably met with at least 20 to 25 companies, and this was the conversation. And that conversation gave us an idea if it's something that they should consider, even if they're not going to work with us. So please take advantage of this. And at the end of this slide deck, I'll have a link so that you can schedule a meeting with me or our other executives, and we can talk through what you may need to successfully go through this process or be awarded this on-ramp. Typical documents, the SF-33s, the RFP cover letters, a lot of attachments for this delivery. It's very administrative. There really is a low amount of narrative that has to be produced, which is very refreshing comparatively. So you're not doing your typical technical volume, your huge management plans. You're not talking 30 to 40 pages. Saying that where there is the opportunity to add that narrative, it better be compelling, especially if there's any question as to if the past performance correlates to the work that you're trying to use to get your points. So we're familiar with all of these documents. We're also available to answer questions as needed. There is a cybersecurity and supply chain risk management document that you have to provide. There are 2 phases. The initial phase is not a very large lift. If you are awarded and get on ramped, you will have to complete a much larger deliverable. We did this for a number of our clients, and to be fair, prior to them finally releasing this or approving this deliverable, we did not realize it was going to be as large as it was. Most of our clients asked us to help. We did have subject matter experts, IT professionals that helped put together this document. So it's available as well. Once you get everything in place and we've reviewed if we're helping you or you've completed, you should be verifying this against a compliance matrix, making sure that everything's in place, and then uploading in Symphony. As I mentioned earlier, for almost all of our deliveries, we helped or did the actual upload in Symphony for our clients. All right. So what did phase 1 teach us? A lot, to be fair. Coming into this on-ramp, I think the GSA was confident that there wasn't going to be a lot of confusion. Things were going to be pretty clear. For any of you out there that attempted this initially or went through this process, I'm pretty confident you saw what we saw, which was the Q&As were not intuitive. They were sort of counterproductive, and they contradicted themselves in some cases. We took those opportunities to make phone calls to that office, to the COs, to try to get validation. To be fair, there still were a number of different responses that we could not clearly confirm or validate if there was going to be a risk. For our clients, we don't recall anybody not getting on-ramped, including because of that, but this should still be the case coming into phase 2. And my expectation is there'll be another Q&A. Hopefully the responses will be a little clearer and help clear up some of the questions and unknowns in the initial phase or from the initial phase. But what we saw regularly that caused the most confusion or could be the biggest risk were, and these are sort of in order of importance, domains and NAICS alignment, making sure that the project NAICS match the domain. If that did not occur, there were steps that can be taken to get that approved, but it did require an additional action directly with your CO's office. And or the documentation that was going to be provided did not clearly align with the capabilities or show that they belong together. So pretty simple solution from a high level. Make sure that you're using domain relevant NAICS codes and that you create a strong alignment narrative. Project validation projects, so the qualified projects that we mentioned earlier, the QP, FEPs, the contract values on the government side did not match what was submitted. This is really challenging, especially for somebody like OST, because we have to rely on the data that you're providing us. Now, if your documentation is solid. In theory, this shouldn't be a challenge. But from time to time, we found out not just for clients we submitted, but or supported, excuse me, for other private sector companies that the government had different records. So if you doubt the data or you're not sure, you probably want to confirm that if you can. And then also unable to validate the commercial or non-traditional past performance. That's complicated, but for those of you out there that have been doing this a long time, I think there's sometimes a misnomer on being able to use non-federal past performance. Truth be told, you can. I think the only risk or risks that you're looking at is if it can't be validated because of where the work was performed or how it was performed, or you're up against in a competitive solicitation, not like an on-ramp, where the people you are up against offer similar capabilities, have similar past performance, and maybe similar pricing. If they have the federal past performance, it's likely they're going to get weighed stronger or better than you. But definitely something you can still do. So the best and easiest solution is for the JP6 forms, make sure the past performance can be confirmed by the contracts offices or officers. Responsiveness to the solicitation. We did see a number of people that came to us very late in the process for phase one. Unfortunately, did not give themselves the right amount of time to submit a strong submission that was going to get them on ramped. I paused for a second there. We're transparent partners to all our clients. If we think there's a risk, a concern, it's our job to make sure we point that out. And sometimes it's not the best of news. And then for those people, maybe some of you that I've met with or my team have met with, the reality is if you are bringing something and asking for support, and we don't think we could do this with quality within the calendar time frame, we're going to be honest with you and tell you. Again, I can't stress enough with phase two around the corner, if this really does interest you, and to be fair, for most of you that align with the domains and or have the past performance, you should consider this. This is going to be a big revenue generator. You want to make sure you get started sooner than later. That strategy, creating that strategy, figuring out where you're strong, where you need help from a teaming standpoint or otherwise, is very critical to your success. So make sure you're tracking the updates, or you have somebody like OST that's doing this for you, and you are updating and completing all the different forms. We're all probably generals of business development here. We've been doing this a long time. Under normal pretenses, whenever there's an amendment, you normally have to re-execute an SF30. Missing that or not doing that could exclude you from award. Certifications and eligibility, another big hurdle, but pretty much we didn't see this as much as the other three, but would definitely stop you from getting an award if your certifications are not active or you're missing something that's associated with your socioeconomic certification. For example, if you are HubZone or women owned, but your SAM.gov registration shows otherwise or shows that it's expired, not going to get onboarded. You're going to be found out of compliance. You need to make sure your certifications are in place, CMMI, ISO. I think earlier I said CMMC. If I had $1 for every time I confused that I and C, I'd probably be retired right now living on a beach. Your facility clearances, everything else, you want to make sure that those are in place. I will say, like NASA Soup 6, there are a number of different solicitations where they'll allow you to submit a plan that is certified through an approved company that shows you're doing this. And as long as you have those statuses in place or awards, certifications, etc., by time of award, it's acceptable. So just make sure your certifications are real and active. All right. So how can we help you? Looking at phase one, considering phase two, what we found was that for full deliveries, where we're doing all of the work, we would offer a T&M solution that was falling between $4,000 and $6,000. For those companies that are smaller or that don't want to incur that type of spend, I can tell you right now, like some of our clients, you can do some of this work and you can reduce that amount significantly. $4,000 to $6,000, or the amount of hours that we're estimating to do this, which is probably in the 30 to 40 hour range, give or take, is a low level of effort needed comparatively. But you can reduce those costs by doing some of this work yourself. We typically invoice weekly. If you're net 30, it means you're going to be paying 30 days from the time that we send you that invoice. The first step would be the scorecard assessment. We found that these typically were between $1,000 to $1,800. I do want to throw an asterisk on here. First and foremost, if you're doing one domain and one pool, it could even be less than that 4,000 to be fair. But if you're doing a significant amount of domains and or pools, it could also be a bit more. We really never saw it exceed, I think, the $8,000 mark, and that was with all of the amendments we did. This is that transparency that I stated earlier. We're very open about how these things look, what they entail. Most important is when we're doing a delivery for you or supporting you, if we provide you with a work authorization, which should have the scope, the assumptions, the deliverables, labor categories, estimated hours and rates, we let our clients pick their scope, their deliverables, their budgets. But again, we're not going to let you cut your own nose off to spite your face. If you say, hey, I only want to do an eighth of this, then there has to be some sort of conversation that's going to confirm either A, why we've misestimated our solutioning, or where you're going to be able to come in and help reduce that level of effort. So scorecard's number one for anybody out there that's still a little unsure or wants to proceed, doesn't have the time or the technical capability. Start with the scorecard. In the first hour or two, there could be a scenario where we're able to tell you what the biggest pole in the tent is that you're going to need to get from a teaming standpoint, for example, so that you could potentially be eligible. We did see people that came to us, and initially within those first few hours, we identified things that were going to make it very unlikely that they were going to successfully be able to get on ramped, at least for phase one. So that's sort of part of our being a trusted partner, making sure that you're aware of your status and if there's any hurdles that we need to tackle. In a lot of cases, for the large majority of people that came to us, if it wasn't too late based on timing, teaming strategies, finding teaming partners was the answer in most cases. The biggest thing that you have to worry about is just having enough time getting your small business or your teaming agreements in place and approved. So CPARs, JP6s, talked about those, the reps, the certs, past performance, the CSR, the CSCRM, initial creation, submission. From a teaming standpoint, we have over 200 partners again in our portal. When we were helping the original, and here's the actual numbers, 25 companies, 34 plus submissions, there were a large number of these parties where we made introductions and they were able to use the new partners' past performance, satisfied status, etc., to submit a winning proposal. Also, more important, they were able to target additional pools and or domains as a result of these relationships. I know that teaming is tough, joint ventures, especially for small companies. There are requirements based on FAR clauses of what percentage each of you or what each party will have to do. The reality is OST is here to help you get those teaming partners in place. But once you get to the table with them, we typically defer to you to create the T's and C's or the agreement as needed between the different companies. One other really important thing. So our GovCon Catalyst monthly pipeline service, again, this is under trademark review. We offer these in two different options. Option one is a smaller version, which is about $5,000 a month. It includes us finding opportunities, qualifying them for you, doing gap analysis, getting human intel, and managing your schedules. The second option is a little bit more involved. It's typically for companies that want to put an extra emphasis on capture. Those are $10,000 a month. They're month to month. You can break these services with 30 days notification, Honestly, we don't want you to do that, but if that was the case or we couldn't fulfill our requirements, that is an option. If you sign up this year, probably into the first month of the new year, assuming OASIS Plus has not been released, the next phase, we will do the scorecard assessment for free as part of this, in addition to all the pipeline activities, qualifying data, and helping you have a robust pipeline that should help you grow in the future. So definitely would love to have conversations. I think on average, I probably myself have about 25 to 30 meetings a week where I'm getting to meet new faces, people, create relationships. Would love for that to be the case. You can use this slide to schedule an appointment. You could join our newsletters if you're not already. My assumption is most of you are here as a result of that newsletter. We are constantly posting updates about solicitations that have already been in the media and or things that are going to be coming soon. Our blogs do the same exact thing. I mentioned the teaming portal. That is the link for that. So please feel free to go in there and sign up and reach out to us if you need a teaming partner. Lastly, we are having our holiday sale. Right now, it's 35% off any of our courses that we are offering. This will most likely go on towards the end of the year. We also have bundles that we are providing that could be beneficial. They are on sale as well, or at a discounted price that could help you with capture, proposal, desktop publishing, cost pricing, etc. And finally, I did want to share that our apprenticeship program will also be on sale. This is normally around $12,000, and we are offering this right now for $8,500. It is access to our LMS and all of our courses. Earlier, I had mentioned, I think, 18, and this is everything from foundations through advanced capture and proposal management. These are our best practices. My partners, Alessia Smatrova, who's also our founder, Dave Huff, myself, we have over 75 years of government contracting and business development experience. This is what we have utilized to create this bid and proposal training academy. We are proud of what we've been able to accomplish for our clients and champion for our small businesses. I definitely appreciate everybody's time. I'm hoping that we were able to answer your questions and you found this informative. I think we were able to finish this a little earlier than expected. That's the results of too much caffeine. I'll say that. I did want to remind everybody at the end of this slide deck, once you receive this, there is the additional information around the functional areas and the scorecards that I hope will come in handy. Saying that, Andy and David Slovin, do we have any additional questions that are coming in or that are worth reviewing? I hear silence, so I'm going to assume no. Okay, well, I want to thank everybody for their time. I hope we get to talk either with and support your OASIS Plus objectives. I wish you and yours happy holidays, a happy Thanksgiving, and a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you, everybody.